Thank you, Eric, for hosting us and for your wonderful store. And it's always fun to read at Bird and Beckett. So we have a rather small audience tonight, but we also have a rather small readership since two of our members are not here tonight. They have some kind of horrible virus. So Murray Silverstein, whose book came out with 16 Rivers Press 2 years ago, it's a gorgeous book, will read, and then I will read some poems by the two missing readers, and then I'll read some of my work. So 16 Rivers Press, in case you don't know, is a cooperative publishing company. And we started in 1999. So we're going on 27 years. I think that makes 26 or 27 years. And I'm one of the co-founders. And this is my third book with the press that I'm reading from tonight. And we started this press so that we could get our work published and publish other poets from. We started out publishing Bay Area poets, and now we say that we publish Northern California poets. So we have a broader range to have people submit to us from. And we publish a couple of books every year, sometimes 3, occasionally 4. And we bring the whole point of the press is to bring in new people all the time because we do the work for the company ourselves. Anyone who joins us has to commit to working with us and for themselves for 3 years. And that is a big commitment for a lot of people. And it is quite a bit of work, but it is worth it, we think, because we have many, at this point, really beautiful books by Northern California poets who might have not had a chance to publish otherwise. So Murray, this is Murray's third book with the press. It came out 2 years ago. And here's what Dante DeStefano says in his blurb. Murray Silverstein's Red Studio is a bouquet of psalms raveled in love, vibrantly thronged with the presences and vanishings that make up a life. So, Murray.
Thank you, Carolyn. Well, I'm filling in. I just want to read a couple of things. And for some reason, I wanted to read poems that tell a story about a medical experience. One of them is a prose poem, and it's longer than mostly what I write. I mean, the rest of them the other two are short poems. So I'll start with this one. It's called Narcissus at the Neurologist. Would you like to see your brain? Says Dr. Lazabou, offering me a chair as she downloads my scan. Take a look, and points to the shadowy swirl that is my skull. Scrolling from view to view, we're looking right down the barrel, she says, casting a cold eye. And already, I'm aroused. Yes, I'd like to watch it, watching you, Dr. Lazabou. Pull up your chair, she says, and I do, her face reflected in the screenshot of my mind. Narcissus at the Neurologist. You better find a poem in there, I say, all this fuss. No, she says, the objectivist, pointing to a spot, but there. See that? That's something. Let's get a better look. I need to get you sleep deprived. When I report all this to the wife, brain waves, she says, she wants you stressed, hypnagogic, asleep awake. The waves are cleaner. Google says, thought spills out. Like froth upon the shore, she quotes, but who, what? And no, not froth. Narcissus notes at 3 a.m. Thought is the shore, the waves, the mind, the pounding sea. And then, to follow that, the visit with the neurologist. This is love at the cardiologist. And this is the prose poem. I haven't read it in a while, so see here. Love at the cardiologist. Is the sound okay? Nurse 1 comes out to get me, take me to the room with all the gear. Striking blonde movie star figure, lively. And how are you today? Strong Polish accent. Nurse 2's already in there, tinkering with machines. Short, black, round-faced gal. A quiet hey is all I get. Number 1 does all the talking, and it's fine with me. Photos of the coast above her desk. Waves rolling in, violin concerto on the box, which she turns off so I can hear me, my amped up heart. She's excited that I understand. Each valve, she says, a different sound, and pushes her wand around my chest, the chest she'd shaved a minute ago. Bad boy, she'd said. I was supposed to do it at home. Bad, I thought, is good. Listen, she says, and there's a grand oceanic churn to valve number 2. Whoompa, whoompa, a certain gravitas. Listen up, you better, when he's in the room. Valve 2, softer, shush, 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 like a good German dishwasher. But to find the third, so shy, she says, she has to futz around and let her lubed-up wand wander round my lubed-up chest. Here, she's found it. Subtle, understated, my kind of gal. Good. She's delighted. Pa-thump, pa-thump. I loyally went. We were going to be so good for each other. The Polish schools she's shacking away, raving about her education, were amazing. The sciences, the arts, the music, and poetry, I bet. I chime in. Your poets are the best. Your poets are the best. She gives me a smile, and I go for it, landing my W where the L would be. Have you read Bells in Winter? Ah, Miłosz. She spits out. I hate Miłosz. Terrible poet. Had to memorize him. What? I skip a beat. I can't believe my ears. Take a breath. Try again. What about Zbigniew Herbert? Worse. She cuts me off. And the woman, what's her name? Szymborska? And suddenly, beneath her wand, I'm a stunned and gooey mess. Szymborska is the total worst. She likes some novelists I don't know, and the rest are garbage, and that's that. It's over. The relationship in ruins. You're here on business, I tell myself. Don't even tangle, but tell that to my heart. There's agitation in the ranks, every valve sounding off. But I offer my bum. Miłosz, his last reading at Cal. The crowd, the tears, the standing O, the most beautiful room on campus. And sharply she rebuts, they would like that kind of stuff around here. Count to 10. Slow it down. But how? What? She's human. Those guys are health. They fiber. They filter. But sorry, Jack. The heartogram is over, and here to take me to the treadmill is nurse number 2. Am I a professor? She wants to know. Nah, I whimper. Dejected. Just nuts for poetry, and I love to read. Me too, she says. As the chart lights up, the belt starts rolling, and I lurch forward, trying to find my stride. I like the hard ones, she whispers. Shakespeare, the Greeks. Oh my, I'm back in the game. Be still, my heart, I cannot say, as she cranks up the slope. Last night, she tells me, I started Antigone. I just saw the play. Oh my. She turns up the dial. How? I gasp. How was it? Winded already, but I'll be okay. Oh my God, she says. So good. And a tragic smile, a tragic smile, a soul smile, passes across her face. Loved it. Steepening the slope. Loved it, she says. I could relate. I'm beginning to flag, but will not stumble. No, I give her back my wisdom smile. Will be a loyal Roman to her Greek. Hang on, she says. Couple minutes more, we'll have a good read. But smitten, I can't wait. How about but the Russians, I gasp. Oh, yeah, she says. I loved Anna Kay. Oh, sure, who doesn't love Tolstoy? Shouts Blondie, listening from across the room. She's got her Mozart back on, and whoa, I think, yes, she is. She's jealous. I get a second wind. Letitia is her name. And seeing me start to sag, she goes behind me, straddles the treadmill, clamps me in her stubbly arms, gives a sturdy push. Only a, only a minute more, she says. You're doing great. Home stretch, turn it on. Chekhov, I puff. Dickens, she snaps back. You can do it. She's both pushing and lifting me now. This was true, by the way. She's both pushing and lifting me now. Proust from a three-quarter sag. Great out loud, she says, like James. Almost there. Mel, heart racing. Phil. Oh, God, yes, Ahab's the best. I buckle. I'm hers. I'm done. Dante. She says, holding me firm. And it's like she's breathing for me now. Ulysses. Molly's my gal. Come on, babe. You've got this. But collapsing. I bet not the wake. Piece of cake, honey. Piece of cake. That, and that was pretty much literally true and hard to believe. And actually, that she did come behind me, which I heard was the wrong thing to do if you're an assistant in that situation. But anyway, here's a short one to ease your mind. It's called Good News. After getting good news from the doc, love, I say to the wife in a dream, I scored 2 tickets to Sinatra. But, she says, Sinatra's dead. I know, I say. It's a comeback tour. You who are most alive, Rilke says to the lovers in his elegies, are going to need the dead, are going to need Sinatra. Count Basie built a temple deep inside your ears. The gods aren't dead, but pure contradictions, neither are they alive. I scored 2 tickets. Now fly us to the moon. Thank you. Another one? All right, well, the title poem, the book. By the way, it's wonderful to read with Carolyn. She helped me organize this book and designed it. And the title was The Red Studio. And she said, no. She said, the title of the book is Red Studio. The title poem is The Red Studio. Yeah, which is about the famous Matisse painting. And I had to puzzle over that for, I don't know. And I thought, she is so exactly right. That's exactly true. The book was trying to, I found in that painting, where Matisse backs up from his work, mid-career, and paints the studio he's been working in. And you see finished paintings, half-finished paintings, the coffee cup, etc., all that stuff. And it evokes this sense of space that is when I saw that painting the first time, I thought that felt so much like what it meant to be at work in your creative life. I had been an architect, retired when I began to write poetry, and then the overlap of those two arts felt to me like a red studio for myself. And I was so appreciative that Carolyn had seen that. So the title poem, which is just a shorty, The Red Studio. In L'Atelier Rouge, a painting of Matisse's studio, in which he paints his paintings hanging from the walls, the cat on the floor of the painting is not a painting of a painting, but nor, when I look carefully, is it a cat. It's a painting of a hand-painted plate. My head begins to spin, and I look at the goblet beside the plate, which looks to be outlined in white. But it's inlined, really. What appears to be outlined, only the canvas beneath. That is so cool, I think, lifting it to my lips. But it's empty of all but color. That astonishing, blinding red that all but devours the room. It's mystifying, terrifying, even learning to give and receive love. The color surrounding the man with his hand to his head, the woman reclining alone. He was nearly done, they tell us, with L'Atelier Rouge when, without thinking, he let loose the red. One big manic swing, a man reaching out and in for where there is no more, more. Oh, happy accident from which all our bright unhappiness flows. Okay, thank you.
Did you read Stardust? Please read Stardust.
All right, well, so how often am I going to have somebody shout for a poem at a book reading? Carolyn, that's not right. What page is it on? It's the end of. So this is you have to imagine you're my grandchildren. There's 4 of them, and this poem was written for them at the request of, like, well, what's going on your side of the family, right? Sort of thing. So this is called Stardust for the Grandkids. Night. Wait. Night. And your great-great-great-grandfather, Bunam Silverstein, drafted by the Tsar and ordered to ransack the shtetl next door, leaves the family in Bialystok, walks to a port in Germany, cons his way on a steamer, sails to England and then New York, where he hops a train to Chicago. His sister's already there. Picks rags and learns to sew, saves and sends for Sarah, your great-great-great-grandmother, and 4-year-old Morris, my Grandpa Mo. Come to Chicago. All of it impossible. Every stitch. But Bunam can sew. Sarah and Bunam, and here come the girls, grand-aunts Rosie and Sadie, Mamie and Kate. And Kate is where this is going. Your great-great-grandaunt Kate, who zigzags her way to L.A., where she sings and plays piano at the Kit Kat Club. Impossible, I know, but she's closing her set with Stardust tonight, and that's me at the bar. And this one's for you, she's saying to me and to you. It steals across the meadows of my heart. Okay, thank you, Carolyn. Now, a great pleasure to introduce Carolyn to read from her new book, Random Universe. I submitted a manuscript of 16 Rivers. I thought it was an impossible thing to have. I was in my late 50s. They selected, and soon after that, they gave me all the books that had been published so far. I ran reading them straight through. And I got to Cocteau, after Cocteau, and I was blown away by that book. I still love it very much. If you haven't seen it, it should be on the top of the shelf. Some of you would see heads nodding. Anyway, that was how I met Carolyn, and she's been a dear poetry friend ever since. And of her new book, Random Universe, Zach Rogow says, the universe this book describes may be random, but is also both gorgeous and familiar. The poet is in love with the details of the world and brings them to the reader like a bouquet delivered right to your door. There is also wisdom and warmth in these poems, a willingness to engage with life, and also to see it from a philosopher's perch. And knowing her now for many years, those words are exactly right. Carolyn Miller.
Thanks, Murray. Thanks, Murray, filling in and saving the day.
Yes.
So I'm actually going to read from our missing poets, a few poems from our missing poets tonight. Let's see. So both of them have terrible viruses. Dane got sick yesterday, and Lenore got sick today. So this is Dane's book. This is his second book with the press. It's called Children of Obscura, and I'll just read from the blurb. Children of Obscura, Dane Servine's second book of prose poems with 16 Rivers Press, combines a luminous array of scientific facts with enigmatic stories. Stories not only about human life, but importantly, about the complexities of physical life itself, the intricacies of matter flowering into entire worlds. So these are all prose poems, and they're all rather short. This one is called Miracles. My body just made 1 million red blood cells this second. 7 octillion atoms mysteriously stay in the general shape of me, despite the flimsy border between self and world. Just as fabulous are my lungs, whose airways would travel from coast to coast if stretched. The double helix of DNA, unraveled, would extend beyond Plato. Meanwhile, there's much to complain about. My back hurts, and why didn't God make better knees? Besides, there's nothing on television, and tomorrow's going to look much the same as today. When the zebrafish damages its heart, it grows new tissue. This would have helped me too. Yet my atoms do gravitate toward my wife's luminous body, or on philosophical days are lost in Pluto's orbit. There's a fine line between complaint and prayer. 1 million red blood cells every minute carry both down ventricle and capillary. It's a miracle. I don't think it a miracle at all. This is called How to Build a Human. And the epigraph is, we pass our existence within this warm wobble of flesh and yet take it almost entirely for granted. That's by Bill Bryson, one of my favorite writers. The miracle is that a jumble of inert chemicals and atoms makes you, somehow, you. For $5 in 1960s money, says a chemistry teacher in Iowa, everything you'd need could be bought in a hardware store. Though the list has grown, 59 elements are ultimately needed, including trace amounts of vanadium, manganese, tin, and copper. The 30 pounds of carbon today would fetch nearly $70,000. But mostly, you just need oxygen and hydrogen, a $40 tab with inflation. It's the strangest thing in the universe, he says. We're sentient dirt. We may come cheap, but you couldn't build one of us, even if you tried. So the first section is mostly about the physical body of an individual, The later poems reach out into the world, and this one is called, Interbeing is not only metaphor. 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, 10,000 of us began to spread across the globe. Now we number in the billions, each one of us quietly and rhythmically breathing in, then out 20,000 times a day. 7 million times yearly, many millions of breaths in a lifetime. With each one, 25 sextillion molecules of oxygen come and go for your lungs and from your lungs and mine. By the end of the day, we'll inhale one molecule from the breath of every person who has ever lived. In turn, we'll be inhaled from time to time by every person born until the sun burns out. Then we'll be scattered again, like seeds. I'll just read a couple more to give you an idea of what this book is like. It's called, on the back, Children of Obscura takes us on a journey that is part cabinet of curiosities, part Zen-imbued guided tour, each poem surprising, each poem a koan of its own. This is called What the Universe Wants. The selfish gene is only doing its job. Without stubbornness, nothing particular would come into being. A body, a country, a galaxy is itself because it is not everything else. Unique because guarded against absorption, unity. Every fetus wants only womb. Screams bloody murder when first alone outside the single body it has been. A novel zealotry is born, as any willful 2-year-old trumpets. Genetic code must go rogue to become something new. The universe knows this, cups its hands round the tiny flame of the wayward thing, like a mother. So this is After Images by Lenore Myers. Lenore is one of our newest poets, and this is her first book. This is her first full-length poetry book. And for the artists in the audience, it's all about art. And of course, I have forgotten. Here it is. Sorry, somewhere I have a little synopsis. Lenore Myers' After Images examines the pleasures and costs of art. The collection explores artworks by Balthus, DeFeo, and Tarkovsky, as well as artworks by her parents. So there's a long section in the beginning about Balthus or Balthus, whichever you choose. And this one is called Young Girl at the Window, and they're all based on the actual paintings. Young girl at the window, ghost of a chair, curved wood, Louis something, insubstantial. So sparsely painted, a bit of wall shows, like a touch of breastbone beneath a blouse. Not really a chair, and the room is not really a room. The girl, not a girl. She stands, hands on sill, window cast slightly open to whatever's out there. A greening tree, orange and tan country houses, yellowish hills, edges softening in the gray-blue haze, till houses and trees are but a puff at the center of the canvas. The window will never be wider than this. And the breeze, isn't there a breeze? Drifting among the elm leaves, blousy scent of lilac at the window sill. Pay no mind to where things should or shouldn't be. A touch of blue or a child slipping in and out of the frame. While we come into a room, just looking for a chair. So Lenore did this very cool thing of adding art tags or art labels at the end of each poem. And this one reads, Balthus, 1908, 2001, Fille à la fenêtre, and then it gives the date, 1957, and the dimensions, oil on canvas, Metropolitan Museum of Art of New York, not currently on view. Some of the art tags are slightly amusing, and some of them are witty and clever, and some of them comment. Lenore's father was a painter, an artist. He also made sculpture. So a lot of this is coming out of family dynamics of being the daughter. Actually, both of her parents were artists, being the daughter of artists, and what that means when you're growing up. Let me find another one. So Therese is his main model, I believe. And this is about the art tags, gives the date, and it says, somewhere in the basement of the Met. Therese. She's composed now, just a girl in an adult chair, sunk in the room, her face a sallow window on a closed interior. Her gaze brushes past you and me, self-forgotten as a dream, electric illusion of slight hand resting lightly on the knee. Ah, glossy pink remnant of brush stroke at her cheek. But the canvas is really bored, B-O-A-R-D, turning green and sour, acidic in disrepair. Still, life might be captured in this narrow room. Manipulations of light and shadow and color, convincing the mind you can touch. This is also by a Balthus painting called The Triangular Field. Beyond the hedgerow, just a scritch, barely human form, so close to being landscapey, 2 triangles away from serious grazing sheep, indistinct as growing grass, waving in the solemn green a blue someone hailing from the larger field, calling another someone. We'll never know who or if they heard. The horse is grazing comfortably within the reassuring geometries, these green, orderly lanes of light and land. Across the golden field, a glow in summer's lengthening, an apple tree seems to leap into the light, screaming beneath her bouffant of leaves. Isn't it usual to see something a bit wrong? But leaping is unfolding life, its nervous squiggles in plain sight. Here it is only seeming, and horses, undisturbed, lack perspective. So this is a really fascinating book if you love art, and even if you don't love art. And I don't know if you know much about Balthus, but he was slightly infamous for sort of rather naughty paintings of young women. So there's that. So thank you. I can't I can't read it in the same way as Lenore did, of course, with the same kind of understanding and appreciation. But I hope you'll take a look at that book. So, speaking of art, uh, this is a poem about, well, it's not really about art, is it? It's about, there are some couple of former students of my art teacher, Lee Hyams, in the audience tonight. And Lee taught many painting workshops at Esalen, and she managed to get me a gig teaching a writing workshop there. And this is called Movement Class at the Holistic Institute. I'm at Esalen doing a writing workshop, and in the morning I get up at 7, leaving my visiting daughter, so I can go to a class called Ecstatic Dance. And because I can't remember where the room called Huxley is, I ask a man standing in front of the office, and he looks at me and holds out his arm. So I take it, even though I am horrified by physical contact with strangers. And we go walking down the stairs to the path that leads around the dining hall, and I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ. And I say, I think I'm late for this class. And he says, well, you are, but time is relative, didn't you know? And I say, well, yes, I've heard that, but I noticed that other people seem to be paying a lot of attention to it. And then, because I'm uncomfortable walking arm in arm with this guy I don't even know, I say, who are you? And he says, oh, I ask myself that every day in meditation class. And then, thank God, we are at Huxley, which I now remember, of course, because I'd been there when I was here years ago. And when I go in, the room is semi-dark and everyone's already there. And loud New Age music is playing, the kind I don't really like. But it's okay, I know, to be an older, slightly overweight woman at Esalen, making a complete fool of herself. And isn't that the point of being here? To not care what other people think of you, and just do what you want. And then the leader tells us to do various things. Move our shoulders, walk around, pick a partner, which of course I don't do, dancing alone as if I hadn't heard him, until a cute young guy comes over and dances with me for a while. And then he dances away, making me wonder if I should try to sit in on the abandonment workshop. And all the time the music is getting faster and louder, and I move around the room trying to be ecstatic, while wondering if I should have brought my earplugs and whether dancing barefoot like this is going to reactivate my plantar fasciitis. And people are doing leaps and jumps in the center of the room, and thin young women are thrashing their arms and legs and doing the hair flip and lying down on the floor and rolling around. And after a while, I don't become ecstatic, but instead really, really sad, because I'm alive and dancing in this beautiful, silly place, and my daughter is leaving this morning. And I wish she would look me up to say goodbye. So I keep looking at the people who keep peering in the window from outside on the deck. And several times I see someone I think looks like Caitlin. And then I see someone I'm sure is her. So I go over to the door and open it and say, hi, honey. And then I see it's not Caitlin at all, but a pretty woman in her late 40s or early 50s with short dark hair. And I say, oh, you're not my honey. And she says, no, but I could be. And I say to myself, And I close the door and go back to trying to be ecstatic. And I dance some more, and I go through all my moves, and I develop some entirely new ones which aren't half bad. And though I don't choose to go out in the middle of the floor when we form a circle at the end, and people take turns going into the center by ones and twos and stomping and jumping and flailing all their body parts around as if they'd gone completely mad, and though I never become ecstatic, that is, my spirit never leaves my body and stands outside it, I do finally become pretty damn happy after all. The hair on the back of my neck wet, my arms and legs tired, my body suddenly wanting breakfast. So I leave and go in to stand in line for oatmeal with nuts and blueberries and yogurt and a cup of tea. Thank you. So I had sort of a request for a poem because Murray remembered when I had written this poem quite a long time ago at the Center for the Book. It's about a painting workshop that by Lee Hyams that I attended in Provence at the house of Phyllis Knotts and Hendon Chubb in Vaison-la-Romaine. And it's kind of wishful thinking about my idea of what the afterlife could be like. It's called What I Had for Phyllis and Hendon. And so I came to the end of my life, and blackness enclosed me like the wings of some dark angels, and then slowly light returned, and I saw a great gate gleaming like the inside of a shell of abalone, with a bearded man in robes sitting alongside, and I said, "Oh, I don't believe this. You have got to be kidding me." "There are many realities, my child," he said, pompously, I thought. "Surely you learned this down there." But as I recall, the official line was just the opposite, I said smartly, though prickles of dread were crawling up my back. "Well, every reality has to stick to its own standards, you know," he said. "And up here, you must visit every system of belief you once held." And for the first time, I noticed a large book beside his chair. "So let's see," he said, opening the book. "Aha! I see you followed at least one of our tenets, laying up few treasures on the earth." "Oh, yes," I said. "That was one of my best things." "But," he said sternly, "I also don't see many treasures laid up here. Very, very few good works." And he looked at me over the top of his glasses, which were, oddly enough, those little round wire ones like James Joyce's. "Yes, that's true," I said, trying to stay calm. "But I wrote poems and painted paintings." He fixed me with a small, pitying smile. "Yes, I've seen your CV and your slides," he said. There was a long pause. Several small clouds, like a tired flock of sheep, went by. "Well," he said, settling back in his chair, "fortunately, we do have a fallback for cases like yours." And he put a finger on a page. "I see you travel to a distant place just to revel in its beauty," he said. "Yes, that's true." "And did you laugh and eat green beans with friends beneath a tree?" "I did," I said. "Did you ride a bicycle into the village to buy bread? Did you sleep in a loved old house next to a vineyard, guarded by magpies and roses and a fig tree and a flock of Turkish doves?" "I did," I said, feeling better now. "Did you spend an entire dinner discussing the nature of reality? And were you served lovely food in lovely restaurants? Did you walk through crowded streets buying cheese and melons among people who sang their words like birds? Did you learn to do a headstand against an ancient wall and paint in total darkness while listening to Ray Charles?" "Oh, yes," I said, remembering. "Very good, my child," he said, and closed the book. "I can see by this small selection that you lived well. But I'm afraid I can't give you the golden key." "Why not?" I said. Well, obviously, you found your own special paradise long ago. Enter here, and you will find more of the same. And as I passed through a rainbowed portal, I thought I smelled, floating on the heavenly breeze, the scent of warm croissant on an endless day. What's happening with our time? I'm afraid I've completely forgotten the whole timing thing, so I'm just going to keep reading. Uh, so this, I have poets call this a suite of poems because it makes us happy. Suite. It's called Late Winter Poems, and I'll just read a few of them that are directly about San Francisco. And I just want to say was written for Diane Ludovich, who was one of the co-founders of 16 Rivers Press, and she died many years ago. And at one point, I was having writer's block, and I talked with Diane about this, and my solution was to try to write a poem every day. And this is what came from that. Late winter poems. Early morning fog on Russian Hill. The white-crowned sparrows are back. I hear them each morning, their call climbing a little hill of sound, then cascading like a waterfall, like joy bursting out and spilling over palm trees and old TV antennas. And yesterday, I saw a quince truck down in Chinatown, its bed filled with huge bunches of dark branches bearing coral blossoms. Fog again, and garbage trucks roaring. The acacia is erupting. All the strange Australian street trees have broken into flower. Magnolia buds are swollen. Plum blossoms float like swarms of pale pink butterflies in black branches. Even the stunted peach tree, planted in the sidewalk and crammed up against hose bar and Chinese cuisine, is lined with rows of red-black hearts. Quince branches in the backs of trucks, bundles of crimson gladiolas on the sidewalk. Spring is coming. We can hardly wait. We hurry toward it, carrying red flowers. This is called Things to be Grateful for in San Francisco. And one of the things it mentions is something called Lincrusta Walton. So if you've ever lived in an old building in San Francisco, you might know what that is. It's an embossed wall covering, which they often used in hallways. I have it in my hallways and in my bathroom. And I looked it up today and found out it was invented by the same man, Frederick Walton, who invented linoleum. Things to be grateful for in San Francisco. White-crowned sparrows, flowering trees, firecracker paper, lion dancers, railroad flats, bay windows, pocket doors, Lincrusta Walton, bougainvillea, stairway streets, tiled storefronts, witch-capped towers, electric buses, old streetcars, cable car bells, roller coaster hills, little houses inside city blocks, wild parrots, stratus clouds, salt air, low blue fog, sourdough, espresso, sidewalk tables, Dungeness crab, pho, pho, focaccia, bulgogi, gnocchi, moonrise over North Beach, moonlight on the bay. This is lunch poem. I meet my friend who has cancer. She tells me there are many amusing things about her illness. We eat eggplant flatbread and rabbit sausage and sorbet made with ruby and cara grapefruits. The day is brilliant. Another one without a single cloud. So beautiful, it's frightening. This is called Bird Seen from Home, a found poem. This is it's John Deacon's list of birds seen from the rear window of his flat, Russian Hill, San Francisco. And when I told John I wanted to use this as a poem, he did not understand the concept of the found poem, which is just, like a lost cat poster, or a restaurant menu, or anything that strikes you as being ultimately poetic in nature. Bird Seen from Home, a found poem. Mourning dove, scrub jay, Anna's hummingbird, raven, waxwing, bush tit, white-crowned sparrow, turkey vulture, starling, red-crowned parrot, rock dove, feral pigeon, red-tailed hawk, crow, Cooper's hawk, goldfinch, golden eagle, osprey, parenthesis, carrying a fish, junco, American robin, house sparrow, kestrel, western gull, mockingbird, western flycatcher, house finch, cormorant, black phoebe, Townsend's warbler. And then the last one is, the world is made of desire. Walking home late in light rain, I realize that the pittosporum trees are blooming on my street. Clusters of small, white, waxy trumpets pouring out the fragrance of night jasmine. Even these wiry, tough-leaved trees open to the light. And what time is it? I'll just read two more. There are several mistranslations in this book, which is a poem that you write by mistranslating another poem in a language that you have absolutely no knowledge of, which is it can be very frustrating, but it also can be very fun when it works. And this is a mistranslation of a poem by Thomas Tranströmer, and from the Swedish. The title is Eldklotter, which is a Swedish word that means bright flashes of energy, thoughts, or visions. But Eldklotter, in the first line of my poem, is, we are old and our hearts are clotted with the plum tree's fallen blossoms. Under the destroyed mandolins lived leftover melodies, glimpses of old flute players, visits to the night market with its melons and pyramids of olives. If it was anyone's fault, it was mine. There were junkies and men digging vaguely, yet the night heaven was remade, and the cosmos lived on, chirping and waving darkly. So I'll read one more. This is called Les Choses, the things, in French, and the epigraph is by Jean Follin. Close attention to things may make them seem strange. Things may be larger than they appear. They may be more mottled, more distorted. They may be ungainly, or they may be supreme filaments fulfillments of their ideal form. Some things may be hidden. Some may travel back and forth between the conscious and unconscious realms. Some may take a metaphoric leap. Others, like grasshoppers or frogs, may take real leaps. Sometimes you may think that your life is sad and empty, but at the same time crowded with unwanted and unneeded objects. Yet if you awake in the middle of the night, thinking about death or about how difficult living is, you may be comforted to be surrounded by them. Your paintings and your books and furniture, your adored cups and plates, the small keepsakes that were given to you or that once belonged to a loved one, even your kitchen appliances. All the things that you will someday leave behind are faithfully existing for you now. They are breathing quietly in and out in unison, keeping watch over you in the night. Thank you.